Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. So this is a React Native Absolute Beginners course, and this course is actually for 2025. We are releasing it now though. And in this course, actually, you'd be able to learn a lot of topic, basically React Native and Node.js. Here are the things that we would be covering for building complex UI using React Native. First, we'll cover the basic topics like React Native navigation, managing splash screen, bottom tabs, loading images, loading custom fonts, and as well as Lottie view. Now, these few things like loading images, custom fonts, and Lottie views, they're going to make your app awesome and very dynamic. And after that, actually, we're going to cover some complex topics, more complex topics. For example, here you'll see how to use or create functional components and then hooks. Now for hooks, we're going to focus on useState, useEffect, and use callbacks. And those are advanced topics that you could also use along with resolve and promise in React Native. So that basically takes us to asynchronous programming, which is the heart or core of React Native, which is JavaScript based framework. So along the way, we'll also see FlatList, default components, and how to create our custom components. The end of this tutorial, actually, we are going to focus on more on the backend side, actually where we're going to build API. Now for building API, definitely we're going to mock API call, and then we'll do login and registration. So you're going to do product CRUD API, and eventually we'll learn how to integrate payment gateway. And all these things and data should be stored our MongoDB data store, where we'll learn a lot more about schemas and how to build your own schemas. At the end of this tutorial, actually, you'd be learning how to build this kind of UI, where you will have a home page and you will have a lot of products and product detail. Build this, actually, we are going to use the earlier knowledge that we covered here that we are going to learn. And not only that, actually, we'll have our login page, registration page, and search or UI page. And since it's for very beginners, we'll cover how to manage your states using useState and useContext. And along the course, we covered some best programming practices which will make you an awesome programmer. Anyway, we started this course with basic installation, and we have done the installation of the Node.js, VS Code, and Watchman. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is where we left off last time, and then over here we had this card component, and the card component was showing the items here and as well as on our home page. Now let's go to card component. So what do we want? If we click on each of the image or item over here, we want to go to a new page and be able to see the detail. So this is what we want to do. Now, before we go ahead and do that, we need to wrap this around touchable opacity. So this will make our component, this one, each of them, clickable, right? So let's go ahead and save this. Now, if you save it, here you see that it is strange and it squeezes here, right? Now, the reason is over here, touchable opacity doesn't take the complete available space. So here you could do flex 1. So now with this you are telling, okay, whatever it is there, you should go ahead and take all the available space on left and right. Okay, so now it's not going to squeeze it. Okay, so that's the first thing. And apart from that, over here actually there are a few other things that we need to set up. One of the things is called onPress, because touchable opacity also has this onPress thing or property. Now here we could do console log. You can say tapped. All right, so let's go ahead and save it. Now, okay, we don't need this thing over here, otherwise we'll get an error. So I'm gonna open up the terminal. So this is our terminal, and let's see, I think we already have one running. Anyway, so if you click on them, so here you see that it says tap, and you can see that it changes whenever you click on them. Okay, all right, and then I do believe it's also same over here because we're using this same component everywhere, right? Okay, right. So we want to be able to go to a new page. All right, so now, but of course not like this. So here at the top, we can actually use or declare a const variable, and we can call it navigation. And then over here, we could do, say, there is a hook called use navigation. So we can use that one, but we need to import it at the top. So here you could say import use navigation. So make sure that you have this one. And then over here, instead of using this, since we have this navigation object over here, so you can use this navigation, and then it has a navigate function, and within it over here we'll have things like where we want to navigate to. We need to mention that. Okay, so that would be a new screen that we want to mention to. So here the first thing here is a detail page. Okay, and after that we could also pass the item that we have over here, this one, because it carries some information, and this information we want, part of the information we want to pass down to next page, and then we want to be able to do more based on that information. All right, so I'm going to save it now. Okay, and it's saved, but nothing will happen because here, not that nothing will happen. If you try to go ahead and click this, I believe now it's gonna crash. The reason is because we don't have detail page, this one. Okay, and we also don't have the route set up for that, so definitely it's gonna crash, and definitely it's not it won't be here. So we need to go ahead and find our app.js. Okay, so remember in app.js we are defining all the screens. Okay, so that's what we need to do. So over here we'll have product detail. Okay, a detail page. So here we have the screens. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new file, and here I'm going to call it product detail.js. Okay, all right, and then over here we can do R and F, React Native functional component, and we already have it. Okay, so we are going to save it. Now the other thing that we want to do right away, most probably we don't need this name. We can say product detail. This is better because this can be same as our file name. They don't have to be same, but if it's same, it looks good. All right, okay, so now let's come to our screen over here right after this. So here we could define this stack dot screen. So you get the screen, and we say that, what is it here? We say product detail. I think it should be the name. Okay, all right, so here it's a product detail, but I do see one thing over here. Our naming convention is capital letters, so that tells us actually we shouldn't have this like this. So product detail, because this is how we are doing it everywhere. Okay, now the other one could be we stick to this. Okay, but in that case what we need to do, we need to go ahead and change it here, and all of this product list and bottom tabs, we need to change them back to this kind of routing, because this refers to actually route. In general, routes are all small letters. Okay, all right, now here of course our product detail didn't get imported, so here we could do product detail. Let's go ahead and select this one. Okay, right, so here we are going to go ahead and save this. Okay, so now what's gonna happen if I go ahead and click any of them, it's going to take me to this page. Hopefully that should happen. So here, okay, here you see product detail, you can see that. Okay, all right, not only that, since we are passing this item object, so we can also grab that one. So now here we can come over here, and whatever you pass, if you want to grab that, you can actually put it in any variable, but you have to put inside this curly braces. Okay, so that's one thing that you need to know. And at the same time, because we are doing navigation, so you should have an object over here. Now the other thing we are going to do, I have to believe that even if we don't have this for now, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to keep this one as it is, because eventually we need to access this, but there could be other ways to access this. Yeah, okay, so let's keep it, and I may delete this because there are other ways to do that. Okay, so one of the ways that we could learn right now, something, let's go ahead, and it's called useRoute hook. Okay, useRoute, this one. But now, of course, we don't need something called navigation like that. Now we also need to import, let's go ahead and import useRoute, this one. Okay, right. So we have this route object, and then here we could do const item, and then over here we can say route dot params dot item. Okay, so let's go ahead and save it. All right, so one thing we could do right away, since this is product detail, say just for fun over here, I might have something like this. So here we can do item dot say title, title, this one. Okay, so we are using this useRoute hook to grab whatever we were passing from here, like this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. Okay, right, we saved it, and now let's go ahead and show it. So here we see that comfy sofa, this one, and colorful furniture. Awesome. So we are becoming more and more dynamic. And of course, if you go ahead and do the same over here, so product is being loaded and beautiful home furniture, so it's reusable. This is awesome. And by speaking of that one, now if you don't have this, actually, let's go ahead and remove that, and let's try to go ahead and view one of them. It still works, because what we did over here, whatever we are passing from here, this one, actually we are getting that from this route object, the one that we created from useRoute. Okay, so that also works. So I think most people might stick to this one, because this is more common in programming convention. If you pass something in route object, or during routing means when you click and navigate to a new page, and you want to grab that in your route, if you have a route object, you should use that. In our case, React Native is providing this one. Okay, so we just have gotten this. Okay, now not only that, we can also, I believe that we also have other properties, like say price. So here we could do item dot price. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. It is visible. All right, so when you do routing or navigation, and if you pass object, you can get that using useRoute hook. But now here, say for example you do items. Now let's go ahead and click on them. It's gonna crash because item is not defined. Why? Because this name has to be exactly the same as this one, so otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so we are passing them as a parameter, so that's what it's causing. The name has to be the same, because here you need to say your item, then you get the item from parameters. All right, so now in this tutorial, this is so far, and we'll continue in next section. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. So this is where we left off last time, and now we want to understand some basic things. So since this is our route object that we get automatically over here, which helps us to grab things that comes from the earlier click, so over here we could do console.log my route object. Okay, and then here I can just go ahead and save this, and then here you see that my route objects. Okay, this one. So here we see key, So the key is a product detail, and as you see that product detail was our slug name. This is also more like a slug or route name. And then we also have name product detail, which is coming from our app.js file. Okay, but of course we also had it during navigation, like over here. Okay, this one, and this one we also put it in app.js, right? So as you see that the key itself is very unique. Okay, so this key is given by this React Native automatically. Okay, so like xt at the end, dbhxt. So let's go ahead and click on them. So each time you come here, it generates a unique key, as you can see that. So now the benefit is that because the key is unique each time, so it can keep track of uniqueness. All right, so it's just some better understanding. So that's why it's not going to mess up with the other part like this one over here. Okay, anyway, but the name itself doesn't change because this is the actual name that we put over here in the other place. All right, and the params. Now params itself has item. This item is this guy over here. Okay, so if you change the name, you'll see a different name over here, right? And this is the item that we grab over here. Okay, like as you can see. So the same thing, item, right? You can call it a different name, okay, and it would still work. Okay, it doesn't really matter. But whatever you pass from here, you have to grab that one here. Now one thing it's interesting that you also of course have to know, because here we called it item, so it has to be item. Okay, if you call it, for example, say here keyword like programming, you can just put here programming, the word programming, then you all have to change here programming, and then eventually you have to get it here as programming. Okay, this one. All right, but this name is random because these are local variables. Okay, so the name has to be unique. So yes, as you understand that, so the route object is a combination of other objects, which includes key, our route name itself, and the params. Okay, all right. Now of course this route doesn't look like web-based route, where for example if you're on a website, you'll see, for example, maybe like this. Okay, hold on, like this, say devestech.com abc, like that. Okay, xyz, okay, like that. But route objects in React Native, they don't work like this. They're mobile based, and they like store this thing as an object rather than as an URL, and then all it does is stores it in the memory and push and pop. So for example, here when you go to a new page, it's pushing a new page, and when you click the back button, it's a popping, removing that. So that's how it works, rather than actually creating any URL anywhere. Okay, because this is mobile based routing for React Native. It might not be same for Flutter, because if you work with Flutter, which is a different mobile framework, you'll see that it's quite different. Okay, all right, anyway, so yes, so with this we understand how the route object works, and it stores information and how it is like this. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting to know. All right, so let's go ahead and remove this because we don't need this one. Okay, all right, now we're gonna go ahead and work on the image. For example, we have seen that actually here we get all this information, right? Now if we want, we can also show our image. Now to show our image, definitely we have our image object, image component. Actually we have to have that one, and make sure that at the top you import image from React Native. Now here, what we could do here, we could do source, all right, and after that item.path, okay, path path. Now once again, this is coming from, we have seen before, like we have a bunch of images that we were using in our home screen over here. I do believe that you remember. If it is not here, most probably here. Oh, not it here either. Let's go ahead and check that. Where were those images? Not here anyway. Were they in component? Right. Okay. So I think they were in kind of components like home carousel. Okay, right. So we have this images, as you can see, and it is this path. Okay. So this is what we are referring anyway. So let's come over here and go ahead and save this. Now here we do see this image is available, but of course it's just way too big. Okay. Now one can go ahead and style the image. Okay. Say for example, you could say that I'm going to style this, and here we're going to have, say for example, 100%. All right. And what problem are we facing over here? Okay, right. That here you could go ahead and work like this. So now it's too small. But anyway, so we don't want to use it like this. Remember earlier, if we had this, I'm not going to say this one, product. Let's just screen, not this guy either. So let me go back to our home page over here, and here we have this card product component, this one, and here you see that we have style for images. In fact, we can copy all of it from here and then just put it here. Okay, right. But now this one was coming from this style object, so we can copy that, and then we can just simply go ahead and put it here, and it would be correct, and we see it. But of course it's a little bit ugly, but still showing the images. And if you want to be better, you could just simply go ahead and move it at the top. Okay, right after this. Okay, all right, like this. But now here this image's style is too much to the left and right, so we want to apply more style. Whatever the style was there, based on that we want to apply more style. And to be able to do that over here, we have to use array. You have to put it like this, and then the new styles could go inside this one. So this is the old style, and the new style can go inside this. For example, here you could say, for say 90%. All right, you want to take the 90% of the width. All right, so that's it. And then, but of course the other problem is on the, you see that this right side is empty, so we can style it more. How do you do that? We can say align self. Okay, align self is center, which means that put it on the center. Okay, so now with this you have an image that's sitting at the center, and which is awesome. Okay, so here we learned that if you want to apply extra style or more style based on the original one, you have to use this array sign, and inside that you have to have this curly braces. Okay, all right. Now let's go ahead and see some other images. Okay, all right, this is the image that we wanted. This is this image that we wanted. Come over here, we say that, okay, right. So with this, actually we also learned how to work with images. All right, beautiful. So this is where we left off last time. Now we're going to continue. Now previously we learned about styling, that we can borrow styling from other pages and we can still use it. But in fact, we are going to do our own styling for this page, because if we use the other styling, the one that we have over here, like from this one, right? So it's going to mess up with this product card, so we don't want to do that. Now that's why over here we are going to create a new file, and then here we can say product. So here just a product dot style dot js. Okay, so this is something that we want to create. Okay, all right, and over here we're gonna do const styles and then StyleSheet dot create. All right, just like this. Now at the top we need to import this thing. So here we're gonna say StyleSheet. All right, so import from React Native. All right, okay, so that's one. And actually, as usual, we also need this theme, the one that we have, because a lot of the properties from here we are going to use them. All right, so one of the things that we want to do over here is called a container. You can name it anything, but this would be our main wrapper. And here we're gonna say flex1 and then background color. Okay, and over here we're gonna say theme dot colors dot say, what do we have here? So for now let's say gray. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. Okay, so we don't have any issues over here, so let's go ahead and work on this. Right, okay, so one of the things that we're gonna do, actually we can remove all of this because we're gonna restructure everything. So earlier one that we are doing, we just tried to do it for understanding. Now since we have this understanding over here, so here we could do style and styles dot. So here this thing, so this is one that we need to remove, otherwise it's going to conflict with the styles that we are going to import. So styles, okay, looks like no, not that one. Once again, let's do styles.container. Looks like yes, this one. And of course the problem is it didn't recognize. So here we're gonna say styles, and from over here I believe, okay, so let me check it somewhere else. I believe it should be here. Okay, something like that. Okay, I'm going to copy the whole path so that it becomes easy for us. And only thing we need to change over here is this one. So it should be product. Okay, all right, so this is the one that we want to import. Okay, so let's go ahead and save it, and yeah, that's it. It looks like yes. Let's see if we can get there. Yes, we can get there. And now here we also need to import it, otherwise we'll get error. So here we are going to have this. Make sure that you okay, so now after that, here we don't have any image style, so we gotta go ahead and create one image style object. So here we're gonna do like this. We're gonna say image and then curly braces over here. All right, so we're gonna give it width and height. Say for example, give it width, say 90% or 95%. All right, and then here we can give it a height, say for example 280. This is what we have. Let's go ahead and come over here, and then let's click on this. Okay, so this is what we see, and then it's not actually centered, so we can center it. So here we could say align self, this one, and then here we're gonna do center. Okay, right, and we see that it's centered. And at the same time, here we could do border radius over here, and then we can take something from our theme, and then over here we could do sizes. Looks like sizes dot, here we could do small. We already have it, so it's gonna apply a little bit of border. Okay, right, and then here we can also do margin vertical, this one. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we do 10. So now as you see that it came down. Okay, right. Okay, so that's it. And then This is so far so good, and this is the image itself that being shown over here. Now the next thing we want to do, we want to wrap our text and price in a row. So now if I come over here, I can go ahead and create a view, and then here we're going to create a style over here, say style, but now here instead of calling it container, we're going to call it details. But the detail itself doesn't exist yet, so we're going to go ahead and create about it. Okay, all right, so here we're going to say details. Now here we're gonna do margin top here. Okay, we can do it actually later, so we don't need to do it now. Let's give it a background color. Okay, so here colors dot say, for example, give it a gray for now, but we need to change this color. And then here we're gonna give it a width. Okay, so here theme.sizes.width, this one. All right, now a lot of you might not have width, so to get the width you can come over here at the top, import dimensions, and then here do this one. So with this you'd be able to get the width and height based on this current screen, and then inside your sizes make sure you put that, and then you'd be able to actually refer them. Otherwise you won't be able to refer them. Okay, all right, so that's one. And now let's go ahead and save it. But of course nothing will change yet because we don't have anything. But now speaking of this one, now here we can go ahead and insert our text over here. Okay, all right, now remember this one here, we want to put text and the price in a row. So here we can actually create another view. Let's go ahead and do it like this, and then here we can say styles dot title row. Now title row doesn't exist, so here we can say title row. Okay, let's go ahead and do that, title row, and here we are going to go ahead and put our text. Okay, now to be able to do that, one of the first thing here we could do text, and then over here say for example item dot title. I think we should have this one. So let me go ahead and save this first, and then here this one. Okay, so as you see that we already say this thing. The reason is because of this this detail and this gray color. Now the gray color makes it looks ugly, so definitely we don't want to get a gray color. Now we're gonna go to this colors, and we're gonna define a new color, say light white actually, light white, and then we're gonna have this one as this, and there here instead of this we can have light white. Now you see that it changes. Okay, and this is exactly what we wanted. All right, so this is good. And now here let's see what else we are missing. So we have the detail. Now inside detail actually we'll have a lot of information. One of the information we are going to have this text title and the price itself. Okay, so these are the two things that we are going to have inside this row. So now here let's go ahead and do text. Now I know that it's a little bit convoluted because a lot of things are happening here. So let's go ahead and do the price. Okay, well if we don't have price it's gonna crash actually. Let's see, and it looks like we have a price over here, 100, right, 200, yes, right. Okay, good. but the row itself is still not exactly what we want, because right now they're actually showing on the top of each other, right? This is not what we want. So here we can change them. So here it's a justify content. Even before that, actually, here we need to define the flex direction, because the current flex direction is a column, so we're gonna do it as a row, right? Okay, cool. And then over here we can do justify content, and then here we can say space between. So let's go ahead and save it. Now they're pushing too much to this end, and this is what we wanted. All right, and then over here we might have, say for example, we can give them horizontal padding actually, or margin horizontally. So here we could say margin horizontal, this one. Okay, and then here we could do 20. So now they're inside, as you can see that, and now it looks beautiful. Let's go and check. Yes, beautiful. And if you check it here, it's gonna be beautiful as well. Okay, right. Okay, and then what else? Let's see. Okay, I think this part is looking great. So far so good, because we already have title, image, and text. So the idea is here, okay, so we had the container is the whole thing over here, as you can see, all of it. And then we have this image. Now image is showing this one, and then inside this we'll have the title, okay, one of them, but in future we'll have, like, for example, text description over here. Okay, so we'll have text description. So that would also go inside this detail. So that's why we had this detail one here over here, and we have set this background color for this. Okay, right. And then of course this title and the text itself in a row, title and price. So that's why here we did title row. Okay, so this is from where actually we are going to go ahead and continue. Okay, so let's continue to work on this. Now in this section, what do we want to do? When you go ahead and click on this, definitely you have this stuffs, and then you also want to show some ratings over here, which is rating of this whole thing. Okay, like how much rating it has, for example, like user rating. So this way your app would look better. Now to do that, actually we need to go ahead and install one package. So it's React Native stock star rating. So it's a very good plugin, I would say, and it takes care of most of the things. So you don't need to go ahead and write your own thing. Otherwise you have to write your own component, and maybe you want to avoid that, because writing component could be very tiresome, which may take a lot of time as well. Okay, all right. Oh, anyway, so now after this over here, we are going to go ahead and create a new section here. So here, the very first thing we want to do, we want to go ahead and create a view. All right, and then we'll give it a style, and of course we don't have the style yet, but we're gonna create one, rating row. So over here we'll have our ratings inside this. Okay, and within it, actually, here we could also create another view. So this view is the view that would actually contain our rating. As you can see, that's a row here. It's saying that I'll have more stuffs in it in a row. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it. Now I'm going to create another one. Now this to rating, of course, now the very first thing I want to go ahead and do over here, add more stuff in it, right? So if I don't do that, it's going to crash. So over here, the first object that I'm going to go ahead and create here is a rating row. And then here I'm going to create another object, so I'm going to call it rating. Now of course if I go ahead and save the code, it's not going to crash because I have the objects over here ready. Yes, even though they are empty, right? Now remember earlier we have installed a package, so now we can go ahead and use that rating input rating. Now if you have it, it should look like this. So make sure go ahead and write input rating, and at the top actually you need to import it manually. Make sure that you type it in correctly. If you don't do that, it's gonna crash. Okay, the path is very important. So this is coming from the package that we have installed. Now over here, once you have it here, you can set rating. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and inside this we could do number. Okay, and number, for example, say 5, and then over here you could do set rating, and inside this we could do 5 as well. Okay, and then here we could do size, and then we could do 25 for it, and then max stars. Okay, number of maximum stars you can have. So let's do it as 5. Now of course the maximum stars you could go ahead and change to, say for example 3, then you will have 4. Now you see 4 stars. You could do 10. Now you can see 10 stars. Okay, right, like this. Now I do believe that here, as you change it, I think it might be an issue with this set function, but we are supposed to be able to change it. Looks like no, it doesn't, but okay, for now we'll skip that. We'll use or check that issue later. We're gonna keep it as it is. We'll come back to that later. And here we'll have color, and here we'll say theme dot colors dot primary, this guy. Let's go ahead and save it, and looks like theme doesn't exist. So here we're gonna get theme. So here we're gonna say import theme. This is the guy that we want. Let's go ahead and save. And now let's go ahead and look at this. So the color changed, but one thing before we wrap up here, we definitely don't want 10 stars. We want 5 stars because nobody really uses 10 stars. And then over here, within this here, you can also have text property. Now within this text, say for example the current one, you can have like this. Say for example 4.9. So let's go ahead and save it. All right, things like that. Okay, now we have to do a lot of things. One of the first thing that we want to do over here, the rating itself, we want to take care of that. So here we're gonna do flex direction, I believe. So it is row. We don't want to have it like this. Okay, so this is a flex direction row, and we were supposed to see some changes, but we don't see that. Okay, anyway, so justify content flex start. Okay, right. Okay, and let's see. Okay, nope, we were actually supposed to go ahead and see this. So this is rating. Okay, I know it should be actually within this view itself. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and check on this. So now we do see it, but of course there are a lot more things that we need to take here. Before I wrap up, actually we could also do okay, so let's continue on this, and after that here we can do a little bit of top section, which means that actually it's more like applying padding to it, but it's, you're saying that how much later to start the top section. So theme dot sizes dot x small, this one, I'm gonna go ahead with this, and then again here we do margin horizontal, say theme dot sizes dot, say for example here large. Let's go ahead and save it. So this looks much better. Now with everything there is one problem actually. Now let's go ahead and solve the problem now. So if we do this, it crashes, and here's it's not a function. So here it's actually looking for a function, but the way we designed it here, it's not a function actually. Set rating is not a function, it wants a function. So that's what it says actually. So here set rating is not a function. Okay, it's not a function, it is 5. So here it wants a function. Now what kind of function we can assign to it? So we can actually at the top we can import useState, okay, because we want to manage our state over here. So at the top here we could say const, and here we could say rating, set rating, this one, and then here we could say use state, okay, 0, which means it will have a default value as 0. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and save it. All right, and then now let's remove this. Okay, so here we could say rating, the one that we have at the top. Okay, so let's go ahead and save it. So now this is expected, this is 0. Okay, right, and then over here we could say set rating. Okay, so let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now this set rating actually going to go ahead and take the value when you actually click on this, as you see. Okay, you could do 5, you could do 4 or 3, like that. Okay, now this should be our average stars. Okay, so this is where it makes sense. So now we have to read that from backend. We don't have backend ready yet, so we're gonna read that from backend, and only then it's gonna work. Okay, so this part now should be basically done over here. So the earlier problem was we are directly setting number. Now it used to work with the older version of rating input. With the newer version, I think they have some changes. All right, so that's why it is different. Okay, at least I have experienced it like this. Anyway, so just make sure that you have this 2 variables. So one of them default, so rating is 0, and the rest one you can set whenever you click on this. So it's going to set through this automatically wherever you click. Okay, set through this automatically. All right, so in this section we are done, so we'll continue in next part. Okay, so we are going to continue and do some styling on this. Okay, so this section will be pretty much all about styling. If you want to have your own styling, you can go ahead and skip this video or just copy paste, continue with the next section. All right, anyway, so the first thing here we want to change is well, here we see this title. Actually we don't have title and price, so we can go ahead and do this. Say right over here we can do this title and price. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we could do title, and then inside this here we'll have font size, and then as usual we'll have theme dot sizes dot large, this one. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have much effect on that, but then there's this other thing. We want to actually copy a bit of styling for it, as say for example the font family. Now we can actually directly copy this one from here, Roboto 700 bold, this one. Okay, now we can be here inside this, and within it here we could do font family. Now we are not going to do Helvetica, this one. Oops, okay, all right. So now let's go ahead and save it. Okay, and it still looks like not much change. Okay, let's see why it's not taking effect. It is supposed to take effect. Title, unless my spelling is wrong. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this and then put it here. Okay, right. I think the problem was it's not this. I think of course definitely I need to wrap it around our style object, which I didn't do that. So let's go ahead and wrap it around style object. I was just looking for it without using the style object. So here, style, title, and now you go ahead and save it. So yes, so this is awesome, and this is what we see. Now definitely we're gonna do the same for our price object for styling price. So here we're gonna do price, and then within it we'll have say for example font size first, and here we're gonna do theme.sizes.large. Okay, all right, and let's go ahead and save it, and let's come over here and assign it a style object. So here's styles.price. Okay, all right, so now it changed as well, but I believe that we have to change the font style. So here I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Okay, all right, now I'm looking for something called semi bold. Hopefully they have it. Okay, and it looks like a font family is not a system font. Now if they don't have this, actually it's okay, we can use the other one, which is medium. I believe they have this one. Okay, and it looks like we still have an issue. You do that, still there is a problem. Well, the reason is we are not loading that. So we can go to our app.js and start to load it from there. So as you see that we have to load them separately. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we're gonna do Roboto 500 medium. This is what we're gonna go with. So let's go ahead and save. All right, and hopefully it did change a little bit. So let's go ahead and restart our app. Okay, yes, it did. Okay, so next time you want to load a new font, make sure that you load it here as well, otherwise you'll get an error. Now that's the thing we had, and so for title and price, I think this is so far so good. Okay, so we're going to continue now, and right after this view we want to put another view. Let's look at a rating row. So we don't have much information here, but we're going to put information. But anyway, so here right after this view, here we're going to have another view, and inside this view we'll have touchable opacity. So these are views over here, and inside this we'll have touchable opacity. Let's see, touchable. Okay, I don't think I have it ready yet. Touchable opacity, this one. Right, now this one, within this we want to put stuff inside this, put an icon, so that we could would be able to increase and decrease it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Now for icons over here, we can use simple line icons, which comes from vector icons, and which we already have installed. And the one that we are looking for, plus, so we want to increase the item, and then here say size, for example 20, and after that we can just close it. So that's the first one, and then we can just simply go ahead and copy this and put it here, and then here we can do minus. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so these are the two buttons that we see over here, but definitely that's not how you want to see them. And then anyway, so let's go ahead and come over here, and inside this here we can have text. Okay, and the text itself here, say 3. Okay, so we see 3 over there. Okay, right. Now if we go and see that this rating row, which contains all of this thing here, this rating, I believe this input rating, right? And then we also have the other view for showing this plus minus. But of course, this one itself doesn't have any kind of style yet. So let's go ahead and style this rating row. Okay, so what do you want to do? Since they're all together, actually, we want to put them next to each other. Now, this rating row over here, we could say flex direction. Say, for example, row. This is the first one. So now it changed immediately. And then over here, say justify content and space between. So now it's gonna push each other to the very left and right. That's what we see. And then here we could also say align items, but now it might not even take effect because our stars itself, they have problem. But anyway, so let's go ahead and put sorry, not the stars, I'm talking about this guy. All right, okay, right. And then I would say that we also need to put within this this horizontal margin horizontal. So I'm going to copy this guy, margin horizontal, and I'm going to put it here. Now in this case, margin, we just want to apply to the right. Okay, now it looks it much better. But of course, the other thing we need to do, we need to tilt it, turn it around, okay, so that it doesn't look like on the top of each other. Okay, so that's the problem. Right now it's facing, looks like it's on the top of each other. Okay, anyway, so whatever we have, let's come over here, and here we do, let's do style, and then over here styles.rating. Let's go ahead and save it. Now as you see that it put each other very close, but it did the work because the one that we actually did over here, so whatever you put inside this rating is gonna help it to follow this row style, and then it's gonna also do this this doesn't really matter though, and everything else stays the same. Then we also have horizontal. Now if we do have this horizontal right now, then we don't need this because it's going to put some extra space. Okay, so we don't need that. All right, so now this is of course improvement, but then if you do come over here and see this touchable opacity, they're too close to each other. Now we want to put space of this text left and right, both of them. We want to apply some space, and to do that, looks like we don't have anything that's available, so we may go ahead and create one. Okay, all right, so this time we can just may say, okay, I'm gonna say something like this, very general name this time, text space. Okay, because this would be more general and we may use it later. Okay, now over here we want to use some space, so here we're gonna say margin horizontal. Okay, and here we can do small. Let's go ahead and save. Okay, now we need to go ahead and copy this, and let's do style over here. Style equal styles dot space, and like this. Let's go ahead and save it. So there is a little bit of space. Okay, so this is what we wanted, and definitely this looks much better than the earlier design where we didn't have any kind of the things were all together. But now with this is much better. But if we want, you can also do X small, and let's go ahead and see the space. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead with this. Now the other thing we could do, we can apply a little bit of color, so let's go ahead and do that. And here we'd have theme dot colors dot gray, and I think it should be yeah, it's a little different right now. And then at the same time here we could also do font family. Okay, Roboto Safe Medium. So let's go ahead and save this. Okay, right. So looks like the same as before. It didn't take much effect, but we're gonna keep it as it is. Okay, all right. So now with this, we are pretty good over here. Now we're gonna continue on next section. Okay, so now we'll continue to work. The thing with that, we want to take care of this one. Now currently this is hard coded. Even before we do the backend, actually this could be dynamic, and this is where we would focus. Now to be able to do that, one of the things we'll do over here, we're gonna go ahead and create a new folder inside this source folder, and here we're gonna call it utils, and inside this we're gonna create a file, and we can say it product helpers.js. so within it we are going to put all the product related JS functions or classes. Okay, so this is where we're going to do that. And over here we are going to export and create a function, and we're gonna call it increment, and then here we'll have set count and count, these two variables. And then over here we are going to go ahead and have this set count, but the set count would be actually our setstate function, and whatever the count value we pass, we're going to add 1 on that and return inside this set count. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. So we're gonna save this, and soon within it we'll have more items, I mean, in this JS file. So we'll call this one, and as we call this, we are going to send this and this at the same time, and then whatever is there is going to take that and +1 and return it within it over here. Now to be able to work with this, at the top we also need to go ahead and create variable over here, state variables. So here we're gonna say count and set count, and over here we're gonna definitely use state, and we're gonna give it a default value as 1. Okay, now let's go ahead and save. But at this time, if you do come over here and directly use count, actually it's gonna work. So as you see that over here, this becomes 1 because the default value is 1, the one that we have at the top. Okay, so definitely you can give a default value to your state variables, and then you can just directly go ahead and use them. Okay, now let's see over here. Inside this we have TouchableOpacity. Okay, and then within it here we'll have onPress event. Now here we're gonna call our function, which is increment. Yes, the first one, it already detected. And then here we're gonna pass this setstate, this one, for setting, and this is the current variable, count. Okay, so it's gonna call increment, and this is for receiving the object, the new value of this count. Okay, all right, so now, and over here, actually that's pretty much it. In this case we don't need to change anything else for now. So let's go ahead and save it, and now let's go ahead and increment, and as you see, as you increment, it increases the value. Okay, all right, but of course if we go back, the value should be set to 1 because this state is per page, not really for our whole application. So it's just for the page over here. Now this part is not going to work because we didn't create this related function over here. Now we can simply go ahead and take that one, and over here we're gonna call it, I think we can just directly change it, decrement, and here we'll have set count. But before we go ahead and decrease one, actually whatever is that, so we're gonna do a bit of checking over here. So here we're gonna say if count, if it only more than one, then you can go ahead and do minus. Okay, so whatever the value you send, first check whether it's more than one. Okay, if it is not more than one, we don't want to decrease this value, okay, and set it to the current one. Okay, all right, remember this one is this object and this object is this one. So whenever you really write something like set, you use that one for new configuration or setting up a new value. Okay, so we say that we're gonna send this, and whatever you do, you can use this one to set it. All right, so that's what we did, and this is the same thing we're gonna do over here. Hopefully it makes sense. Now let's go ahead and come over here. In this case we are going to do the same. So here we're gonna use onPress, and then over here we're gonna do decrement. All right, set count, whatever the value, the current value. Okay, because in our whole page over here in product detail, this saves the current state. If you increase it over here, this count, remember the same variable, right? We also send it here. Okay, and we also receive the object, the new one, right? So the new one, we get it from here, and React Native automatically sets the new one to this one. Of course it happens internally, which we don't see that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and save it. So now you would be able to decrease, and it looks like, yes, we do have an issue. Decrement doesn't exist. Looks like we have a issue with decrement. Decrement, it says that decrement doesn't exist. Decrement. So let me go ahead and copy it, and let me put it here. Looks like it should exist, but now I believe I'm missing something somewhere. Okay, right over here I need to import it as well, decrement. So okay, right, now we saved it. I think this time we could do minus. Okay, and you could do decrease. Okay, now it's not going to decrease more because it's less than 1. All right, it's beautiful, awesome. Okay, now with this we understand that how to separate your JavaScript functions and export them. Okay, so by default each of the functions are exported separately. Okay, so that's why we need to import over here separately, unlike a file where we actually have, it's like the whole file has been exported. But of course this is still an object, we keep everything over here within this. Anyway, so if you have separate function and if you export them separately, and wherever you use, you also have to import them separately, just like these things. As you can see at the top, they all come from React Native library, but you have to get them separately. So that's why you do. So just import them separately and you're good to go. So over here, actually, we learned a lot more interesting stuff about how to create separate functions and how to work with them and set the value. So we're going to continue in next section. Okay, so we'll continue. Now, before I continue, I still want to talk a little bit about this so that you understand. Anyway, so over here, we have this count variable, which is a state variable, and this is the getter, which means it presents the current value. Whatever value is there, we say it. So the current value is 1 because we set it 1 at the top, as you can see over there, right? And then we also know that whenever we click this button over here, Now this gets called, so it takes the current value. What's the current value? Current value is 1. Okay, then it goes there, this function, and it sets it. So it sets it using the same object that we gave them, which is setCount object. Okay, so it takes whatever value you give them and increases it, and at the same time it also sets the value. I mean, you see here we increase it, right? And after increasing, we set this one to 2. For example, if I go ahead and click them, now it's going to set it, this value, whatever we are passing, that one, to 2. Okay, so that's how it works. So, but of course it happens internally because React Native takes care of us. We don't have to do. All we need to do, we need to tell what sort of operation we need to do, is a plus minus and do some conditional check. And of course operation could be more complex. Okay, so just the idea is it takes the current value and then it goes back. I mean, it sets it, and then this current value changes. Okay, after adding it, it changes. Hopefully it makes sense. All right, anyway, so now we're gonna work on the description. So over here, this was all about this section, and now we are going to wrap it. Okay, right. So we don't want to actually work like that. So here we want to create some comments, otherwise we might have issues in future. We might forget that how it works. Okay, so anyway, to create comments we could do just like this. All right, and inside this we can say this is for plus, minus, plus, and minus. Okay, so it's gonna help us this part. And over here we could do the same, and here we'll say this is for star rating. Okay, with this we won't be confused whenever we say this thing. Okay, so this is good practice to have it because we have too many codes over here. Okay, all right, and then over here we could also do like this. This is for title and price. Okay, all right. So now since we have these things, actually we can continue to go and work on this. So this time we'll get out of this the whole thing, so right below it. Okay, so here we're gonna have a new section, and here we'll say this is for showing description. Okay, so here we're gonna go and show our description, and within it over here we'll have view. Okay, all right. Okay, so now inside view we'll have our text. So here we'll have text, and we'll have another text. Okay, now this guy is gonna show the description title, and this guy is going to show the description itself. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and create our within this guy I'm going to create some styles so that we can use them. Now I'm gonna create the styles right here, one after another. So in this case I'm going to use description wrapper, create a new one so that we'll put everything inside the style, and then here we'll have description, I think title. Okay, is the title of the description, and then we'll also have description text. Okay, so there's 3 things that we are going to use. Let's see. Now here the very first thing that we want to do, let's go ahead and work on this over here. So this is the guy over here that we want to show the description. Here we want to do description styles, description wrapper, this one. So it's going to wrap everything. And then over here it will have styles, description title. Okay, and then here we'll have styles, description, text. Okay, like this. Now of course let's go ahead and save it and save it over here. Now over here we want to put the title of this description. Now in general I might just say description. Okay, so I'll have this text here and I'm gonna call it this actually, since it's a text we don't need this, so here we'll say description. But even this one you could put something fancy, it doesn't really matter. Okay, now here we can have some dummy text about this sofa. So here I can put some text. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some text that we have. You can put any random text over here just to make sure it doesn't have any strange sign inside this. We'll take care of that later and for fun. All right, so this is the description that we want to put and we say it there. Okay, now of course this looks ugly. Now let's go and see the description wrapper first. Okay, so what can we do with description wrapper? Okay, now definitely we need a margin at the top. So here we'd say margin top over here. So here we're gonna do theme.sizes.large2. Okay, sorry. Let's go ahead and do that. But if you do want, you can also do the double of it. Okay, so it's gonna put down more. All right, and then we also want to do left and right. Okay, so everything inside left and right will have some space. So we're gonna create a space for left and right. So we can use horizontal, margin horizontal, this one. Okay, and then theme.sizes.large. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Now you see it looks more aligned and beautiful. Okay, so it's already started to look beautiful. And then over here we could do font family. Okay, and now Roboto we could do medium. So let's go ahead and save it. So we already see that, but I don't think it looks good, so I'm gonna go ahead with 700 bold. Okay, all right. Okay, and after that here we could also do, okay, just let me go ahead and put 500. Okay, actually I can increase the size of the font. So here we could do font size. Now let's go ahead and save it and see what it looks like. Okay, we want to decrease a little bit. Okay, so a little bit smaller than this. Okay, right, now it looks good. And then over here we can, so we want to go ahead and find app.js, and then okay, so we do have regular font, so this is what we want. So here we do font family and regular rather than other things. Okay, all right, so this is a regular font, and okay, we should not have space there, otherwise it's gonna cause issues. So okay, now it looks better. All right, and here font size and theme sizes dot small. Let's see how small they are. Okay, now it does become very small. I don't think it's friendly, so I'm gonna keep as it is. Okay, the current font size. And then okay, let's go ahead and save it so it's more friendly, frankly speaking. And text align over here you can say justify. With this the text is going to be more spaced around. Okay, now awesome. So with this actually we are looking much better now. Okay, yes, awesome. So now we have more information on this page that makes us like more like a complete app. Awesome. Okay, anyway, so far everything is good, and if you're enjoying the course so far and if you learn something, make sure that you give me 5 star on this course, because it's gonna help me sell the course more. And thank you so much. I need to work on this thing. Okay, now previously we were doing up to here, description. Now here we want to show another text. Okay, and for that one, let us start right after it over here, and within it we'll have another view, and this view would be responsible for showing location. Okay, now this location would be actually text location, not really Google Map location, because that would be another level of complexities if we want to go ahead and do. So over here we'll have some styles, and then we'll also have styles over here as well. Okay, so we're gonna have another view, and over here we'll have actual style. So the style, we're gonna say location. All right, but of course this style doesn't exist, so we are going to go ahead and create one over here. So let's go ahead and do location, second one, and then all right, so let's go ahead and save it. And now here we are, we're gonna save it. Okay, right, now in terms of location, the way we want is that we'll have an icon over here, and then we'll have a location text over here, and then over here we'll have some other text. Okay, so everything there would be in row. So the point I'm trying to make here, we'll have an icon, and then here we'll have some text, and over here you will also have some text. So everything would be in a row. Okay, so that's why we are going to have more views and row-like location. Okay, so here the thing we are going to do, here we'll have view. Okay, let me go ahead and take that, and within it here I'll have style. Now because the styles are very small, so we're just going to go ahead and do like this. So here we'll have flex direction row. Okay, so you could understand here is like this, if it helps you. Show icon and a location name. Okay, so this is what we are going to show over here. So that's why this flex direction row. Okay, all right, that's one thing. Now so we'll have icon and a text. Okay, so that's what we need. Now for icon we will have icons, and for icons over here we'll have name, and here we'll say location outline. All right, let's go ahead and save it, and hopefully you'll see it. So that's what I was talking about. And of course it's too small, so here we're gonna do size 18. Okay, now it makes sense. Now speaking of this one, you see that it's over here, right? You want to push it inside. Now this is where this view comes in. So here we can say style, and then here we can just directly go ahead and use well, here we could directly go ahead and say margin. I think we could do margin horizontal, and theme dot sizes dot, I think what was it we were using previously. Let's go ahead with medium. Okay, looks like the medium works, so everything pushed inside, and this is what we wanted. Okay, so that part is good. And so that's the first part that we said we want to show the text, icon, and the location name. So that was the icon part. And then over here we also want to show our text. Now here we're gonna do text. Say for example, I'm gonna say that Shanghai, China, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and use it. Here we see, right? Okay, now the text itself, it's too close, right? So here we're gonna go ahead and use this inside a view. Okay, so here view. Okay, and then we're gonna have it. And the beautiful part about this, that you can style it like this, but of course we don't need this flex direction, we need margin. Okay, so we need margin right, so for example 10 pixels, so that now you're gonna have a little bit of spacing. Margin, is it it should be okay. Let's see the text. So this is the text, right? So here actually we can say margin left, actually on the left side. Okay, now it shows. Okay, so over here we are done with this part where we show the location and icon. Now as we continue to do, so let me go ahead and put some more text over here. So here's delivery some, okay, we can say delivery info. So this is what we want to have over here. Okay, right. Now within this we're gonna also use two things. So we'll have an icon and some text. So again, delivery info showing an icon and a text. Okay, so that's what we want to do over here. Okay, all right. Now to do that, once again here I'm going to have this view. Okay, all right, and within this view the first thing I want to show is material community icons. From there we can get an icon. Okay, because the icon we are looking for, it might not be in icons. So here we're gonna take that one, and here you can say truck delivery outline. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it. So we already see it there, and here we're gonna do size, and we're gonna say 18. Okay, so let's go ahead and save it. Okay, and not like this actually. So here we're gonna have 18, and we're gonna save it. Okay, and well, we can dismiss this. We don't have this issue anymore. Okay, right. So now the thing is that, look, this view, this one and this one are both inside this location. Okay, so we want everything that we put everything here horizontally, right? Put everything in a row or horizontally. Now speaking of that one, so we need to go over there, and then here we need to set this thing. So what do you want to set over here? So here you want to say flex direction. So here I'm gonna say row. All right, so now you'll see that okay, I don't think I have saved that. Okay, right, location flex direction. Okay, it looks like my app is stuck, so I need to restart it. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so now it's there. We see the truck, right? But that's not what we want. I mean, it's row is fine, but it's too close, right? So here we can use justify content. Here we can say space between. Okay, all right, so now it moved over there, and this is what we wanted. Okay, all right, and over here actually we also want to show a background color. Okay, so here we'll say theme.colors.secondary. So we'll give it some background color. Okay, the whole thing, it got some background color, so that's why it stood out. And then over here, say for example, you get to do a little bit of padding, 5 pixel. Okay, so now it looks better, but now it showed up with strange border, so we can fix the border. And here we can say theme.sizes.large. Okay, all right, so now it looks much better, as you can see over there. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's why we separated this style over here, because it has too many things, but the others, they have just one, you know, one, so you don't need to separate them. All right, and what else? Okay, so for now we are going to keep them as they are. Let me see, do we need to put, no, yeah, we are good actually. So let's go ahead and save it. And then, okay, so that was the view thing that we did, right? So after that, we need to continue with the text itself. Okay, all right. So now here we're gonna do with text. So here we would say free delivery. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Now the problem is they are not in a row. Okay, they are in a column because they're inside this view. View always put things by default in a column. So here you could say flex direction. So here you could say row. Okay, all right, so now they're in a row, and this is awesome. And here this guy is too much to the left, so here we could also do margin right, say 5 pixel. It's gonna make it looking better. Okay, right, but then this text is too much to this side, I mean text in the truck itself. So just like the one that we did at the top, we can wrap it around inside a view, and then we can put it there, and within it here we're gonna say like this, style, STYL is style, and margin left, and here we're gonna use another 10 pixels, and then it looks much better. Okay, all right, so this is what we wanted to show over here. Now of course, one thing that this data, they're gonna come later from our API, and this data would be dynamic. Right now they are not dynamic, they are just some data hard coded. Okay, all right, but anyway, so our app is actually looking better. If you learned something so far, don't forget to give me 5-star rating, and which would definitely help me and help everyone. In a sense, it encourages me to have a better course and quality course. Thank you anyway. Okay, so let's continue to work on this. Earlier we are done with this section. Now we are going to open up a new section over here, and in this section actually here we are going to show all our cart buttons, actually, or payment related information. I would say cart related information. So this is what we want to do. Okay, all right, so then we are going to go ahead and create a new view over here. So let's go ahead and do that. View. Okay, all right, so it's gonna hold everything over here. All right, now here we'll have at least 4 items, just like this. Here we had 4, so we'll have similar, but of course different things and different item, but you get the idea, like in this row format. Okay, so this is what we'll have. Now within it we'll have a button, so the button would be touchable opacity, this one. Okay, all right, so and inside a button actually we want to show an icon. Okay, all right, so here I could write like this. Actually, most probably I'm gonna follow this pattern right now. So here we'll have fab button, okay, which means our favorite button. All right, Okay, right. And after that, here we'll have another touchable opacity. Okay, and within it, here we'll have our buy button. Okay, so here we'll have buy button. All right, and then after that, over here we'll have add to cart button, and that would be also touchable opacity, this one. So here, add to cart button. So you get the idea. All right, and last one is actually a simple icon. Here we'll have shopping icon. So here, let me go ahead and put it like this: shopping bag icon, like that. Okay, all right. And here we'll have kind of also touchable opacity. So let's go ahead and do. So all of them would be kind of reactive in a sense. I mean, touchable opacity. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and work on the first one. Now, the first one, as I said, that here we'll have an fab button or favorite icon. Now we are going to go ahead and get it from something called Ant Design, this one, which also comes out of vector icon, React Native vector icon, the one that we have installed before. So we're going to use that one, and here we'll have name, and we're going to say it heart. All right, so we're going to save it. Okay, right, and we already see it there, as you can see. Okay, all right, now this is the time that I'm gonna go ahead and you're going to go ahead and create a style object. I mean, we're gonna use the style object, and here let's go ahead and create style object cart row. All right, okay, like this. Now here we are going to use a horizontal padding like we have used before, most probably this one, I guess. Okay, so here I'm going to use this. Okay, let's go ahead and save it, and we also need to save it here. Let me see, cart row, there is a typo here, so now it's fine, and now it is recognized, and now we're gonna go ahead and save. So here we do see that, okay, so that this part is good and it's already working. But now, of course, the style has to be much more than this, not just such a small amount. All right, so, well, we could do more about it, but before that, I think we can put other items. Okay, one thing we would do right away here, let's go ahead and fix our flex direction. So whatever we put, everything is in row. Okay, otherwise it's gonna cause issue. Okay, right. Now since we're inside this touchable opacity, so here we can go ahead and create on press event. All right, and here we're gonna say console.log and here we're gonna say fav tapped. Okay, just like this. Now if I'm going to go ahead and check the log over here, and of course if I go ahead and click on this, we'll see that fav tapped. But of course this icon is too small over here, so let's go ahead and give it some size. Okay, so the size over here, size, this one, so let's go ahead and give it 20. It'll be bigger, which is beautiful. Now one problem here we are facing with this, as you can see, that it's too close. In that case, actually we can come on this guy, right? And here we can just simply say margin top. Okay, theme dot, let's go ahead and do this. All right, so we're gonna stick to this one for now. Okay, so with this over here, the first one is pretty much done. Of course, we need to work on this press event, so which hopefully we'll do it in next section. This section will be pretty much done with the UI over here. Now here we said that this guy, we're going to use it for buy button. Now within it, we're gonna use text property or text component, and we're gonna say buy now, this one. So let's go ahead and save it, and we see it there. Now this is the time we go ahead and style this. So we want to style it from here. So we're gonna call it, say, styles dot, we can say cart title. Okay, we're gonna call it cart title. That's a funny name though, but anyway, so let's go ahead and call it cart title. And here we're gonna say cart title. Okay, so make sure that our spelling is correct, cart title, and we're gonna save this one first, and then we're gonna save this one first. Okay, now we can go ahead and do the styling over here. Okay, right, so here definitely we need margin left because they're too close, so we need to give it space theme dot sizes dot small. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and save it. So we have a little bit of space, and then here we can also give it font family. Now we don't want font family like this, so I think we'll have Roboto 500 medium. This is the one we've been using. Okay, so now it changed. And at the same time over here, font size over here, we could do theme dot sizes dot medium, the one that we had. Okay, now it become a little bigger. All right, and what else? I think for now these are pretty fine over here actually, so we're gonna just stick with this for now. Okay, so that's about this cart title. But and of course here we'll have onPressed event. So let's go ahead and do onPress this one, and just for now say console log by tapped. Okay, so we're gonna save it. Okay, there's by tapped, fav tapped, by tapped. Okay, cool. All right, so there are more things that we need to do, so which we'll do soon, right after once we are done with the UI. So now over here, this is add to cart button. Now add to cart button, how do we do that? Okay, actually add to cart button, I don't think we need this actually. Let me go ahead and remove this for now. So we're gonna just shopping bag icon, which can help us to actually add things. Okay, now anyway, so within it here we can use something called font. This one, this also comes from vector icon, as you can see that. So we're gonna use that one, and over here we can say name and shopping bag. Okay, this one, and let's go ahead and save it, and this is where we see that guy. And the size over here, say 22, a little bigger. Okay, right. And okay, so that's all these things. But now here, if you go ahead and check this row, even though it's row like this, flex direction row, but these are all together. So here we could also do like this, say for example justify content and space between. So let's go ahead and check how it works. Okay, so this is so far we have, so you'll have this and this. Okay, so no, this doesn't really look very good, so we need to continue to work on this. And we're going to start from here, and eventually we'll work all of them. Now this time, first actually we are going to work on this text opacity, right? Even before we start the actual styling, I think I still have to do this one. Here we'll have console log. Over here, order tapped like that. Okay, so definitely it's going to work. But now here I want to actually apply a style to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and check. Here we'll say styles. Now of course not shop icon. You can say add cart, just like this. Okay, now here I'm going to go ahead and add this, add cart. Okay, now this is something, let me go ahead and save first, and as we work on that, we'll see that the changes are being made over here. So let's give it width. Now here we're gonna give it width, say 37, and height, say 37. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now not much changes. And over here we're gonna give it border, not border, first I'm gonna give it actually background color, and then here we'll have theme dot colors dot black, this one. Let's go ahead and save it. Oh, so it looks strange, right, that why it become black. But let's see, we're gonna actually go to a better design, and then here we'll have border radius, and here we're gonna give it 50. Now it became a little bit, as you see that, not little bit, it became round. Okay, right. And then over here, the icon color itself, remember over here actually we can set up color for it. Let's go ahead and do that. So here we do color, and then here we'll have theme dot colors dot lightweight actually, so which is kind of white. Okay, all right, and I'm gonna save this. Okay, right, but looks like it's up there, so we're gonna center it. And how to do that? So we're gonna center it currently, I believe, so because we are in a row, justify content. Let's see, let me go ahead and save it. So it centered it vertically. Now we want to center it horizontally, so here we'll have align items. We're gonna do it center. Okay, right, so this is what we see. All right, so now we are going to do the same for our other buttons. For example, over here we also have this guy, buy button, right? So for this guy we are also going to continue to style. Now to do that, so buy button over here we could do style, and then here styles dot buy button, and here we're gonna say, for example, say buy button. Okay, right, so let's go ahead and save this, and save this here as well. Of course no changes because we need to continue to style on this. So now we want it to have a background color, and which it should take a lot of space left and right. Okay, so this is what we want to do. So first let's go ahead and give it a background color. Okay, background color over here, theme colors dot black. Okay, now of course this is strange, it's gone, but it's fine. If you see card title over here, we can give it color over here, theme colors dot lightweight white, this one. Let's go ahead and give, so that's what we see. Okay, so that's about this title, but we need to work more on this guy. Okay, all right, and so this is a button, and what else we could do about this? Let's let's see what it says about our justify content. Okay, and then over here align items center. Okay, and it looks like there are some issues. Now what could be the issue though? Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now if you do come over here, so we are going on this buy button. This is our buy button and this is our cart title. What if we remove this one? Okay, right. So now it's kind of centered. Okay, all right, good. Now we want it to take a lot more space, especially the background. So over here we're gonna give it width. Okay, let's go ahead and give it width. So here width is theme dot sizes. This one dot width. I think we have width. Say for example you want to deduce minus 200. Let's go ahead and, so it's much bigger, but we don't want to do it directly 200. Say 0.7. Okay, like that. This is bigger and I think that's fine. Okay, right. Now with this we can also apply what is it, border radius. Okay, border radius, and then theme dot sizes dot, here we'll have say large, this one. Okay, cool. So as you see, it's already looking cool actually. I mean, this is awesome. All right, so here this part, I believe that we are actually done styling this button. And of course if you click on this, you'll see that by tapped, order tapped. Okay, now we need to continue to work on this icon over here. Okay, and here for this one we can go ahead and create a style, and here we're gonna call it styles.fab button. Now we don't have, it doesn't exist, so here fab button. All right, let's go ahead and save this and then save this guy. All right, now let's give it background color. Background color, theme dot colors dot primary color. Okay, all right. Now it did get a strange background color, but don't worry. I wouldn't say it's a strange background color. It's just the way it's stressed, it looks strange. That was my point. But anyway, I'll give it width, say 36. Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now give it height, say 36. Okay, and let's give it a border radius. So once again we'll have border radius. Now I think in this case we might not have to give it border radius that much. Let's give it border radius 99, so which is very what is it, very much round. But what if you give it 50? It's still same, as long as it's bigger than this, it would be actually rounded. Now over here, you know that justify content center, and you could also do align item center. Okay, right. Now what if you come over here and change the color? So here you could say color theme dot colors dot light white, and save it. Okay, beautiful. Now with this it looks much more beautiful and a very professional design. All right, so let's go ahead and check with others. This one over here, that one there. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's been a long session about all about UI. Okay, so in next section actually we're gonna work on this functions, which should be pure JavaScript functions. Okay, so now we are going to work, and we're gonna work on this handle press. Like for example, as you'll see that here we have this tab button. So here we're gonna create a function and work on that. Now to be able to work on this, our app actually needs some new ideas because we are going to do some special things. For example, here as we click on this, we want to send it to the backend. Okay, all right. But even before we send it to the backend, we actually need to check whether the user has logged in or not. But currently we don't have any login system, okay? But we are kind of going to mimic our login system so that we can work on this idea where you press this button and you save it as a favorite. So it's more like mimicking. And eventually when we write the code for backend, it would be all replaced easily because we understand the fundamental, and our skeleton would be written as we go ahead. So when we start with the backend, actually we need to make a little change on our code, very little. Okay, all right, so this is where we are going right now. Anyway, so let's continue. Now we're going to introduce some new ideas. So over here I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and I'm going to call it contexts. Okay, and inside this I'm going to create a new file. Okay, here you can see user login context.js. Okay, so here we are going to create a JS file, and this file is actually very simple. All we do here, we go ahead and create a context and import it. Okay, like export it. So here we have export const, and here we can call it login context, and here we have to use React Native or React function, which is called create context, this one. Okay, and for now it doesn't contain anything, it's null. Now here if you go at the top, you could actually go ahead and import create context. Okay, so we need to import that. So that's the very first thing. Okay, now this may look like a little bit abstract and what is going on. So now when actually we go ahead and log in, which will work in future, then we'll save the login state. Okay, now the login state needs to be saved using this kind of special mechanism. Why? Because throughout your application you will need to see whether the user has logged in or not in many different places. For example, if you want to save the favorite, or if you want to actually place an order, definitely you need to check whether user has logged in or not. And you also need to check in other different places. For example, if you have some user settings, you need to check whether the user has logged in or not. Then why I'm talking about this one, the reason is, look over here, this kind of changes, when we make these changes are local in this page or screen. As long as this screen is alive, this data is alive. But when you actually go to a different page, that earlier screen has been destroyed and data is not preserved. So we cannot do the same for login. So we have to use create context or any other mechanism to save our state, because this is a state, right? It's changing. So new things. So we want these new things to be globally available everywhere in our app. Now to do that, we use create context. Okay, so the idea is a little bit like your set state. Like here you use a set state. In this case you say create context. Okay, and then you use this one to actually access whatever was saved over here. Okay, so hopefully that should make sense. But this is just the first step, and it has another step which would more look like pretty much like this. Okay, we'll see that soon. Now to store your items, not items actually, state globally, you need to use a create constant. That's you have to understand, and you need to go ahead and explicitly create it, something like this. Okay, all right, now that's the first one that we did, and then we can also go ahead and create another one. since we are working on this favorite button, so let's go ahead and create another context. Here we're gonna say refetch fav context.js. Okay, now here in this case, all I need to do, just go ahead and copy this, and then over here we are going to go ahead and use it, and then we can just say fab context and we are good to go. Okay, all you need to do, call it fab context. Okay, so with this we learned how to create context and why we need to create context. So in next phase we'll see how to go ahead and use them. Now what do we mean by use it? Actually, we need to register this context when our app starts. And where to register? So once again, this app.js is the place where we go ahead and register our context and the things that we need all the time for our app to be available. So now I'm going to cut this one over here, and then I'm going to say use something called login context. Remember the one that we created early, like user login context. This one. Okay, so this is the one that we are looking for, and then you have to have like this. Okay, but it's not just enough. Even before that, over here you need to access something called provider. It has something called provider property, and then another one is called value. Now within this you need to mention that it will have like a setter and getter, just like we have useState. Okay, so here we'll say user login, and then here we'll say set user login. Okay, just like that. And then over here you also need to, I believe you have to do provider. Okay, so that's the first one. All right, so you did first this one, and then we can also do the other one, like refetch. Let's see what we had. Refetch fav context, FETCH, refetch fav con. Was it the file name? Just let me check. So it was actually fav context. The file name is refetch fav. So here I'm going to have fav context, this one, and as you see that it's already auto recognized, and here we could do value, and of course we don't want set login or user login. We'll change it. All right, just like this. But in this case we don't want like user login, so we can say it refetch. We can say it refetch fav, and then here we can say set refetch fav. Okay, and after that whatever we had, we're gonna put it inside over here, and we are good to go. But looks like that it has user login. It says that it doesn't exist. Now this crashes, and why? Now there is another new idea which has to do with our login context and this value. Now first let me show you how to solve this problem, and then I'm going to explain that why this is happening and why we need that. Okay, so here we'll say user login, set user login, and then here we'll say useState. Okay, and false. Okay, like that. All right, and let me make sure that we have useState at the top. Looks like we don't have useState, so all you need to do, go ahead and import useState from React. Okay, all right, and the same we need to do for the other useContext object, and that was fetch refetch fav. and here we'll have set refetch fav, and within it we'll have empty string like that. Now let's go ahead and save it. Now we see the error is gone. Now of course error is gone, but why we are doing this thing? Look over here, like for example say this one. Now we are creating this context object which is login context, and then as we log in we want to share the login state, like login true or login false. Login true means user has logged in, login false means user hasn't logged in. So this kind of state we want to share across our application, which also means across multiple component. Okay, right. But then when our app starts for the very first time, it has to have some default value. Okay, now where this default value come from? The default value actually we create at the top. So when our app starts, the default value is false. Okay, so that's what we are saying. In general, when your app is installed very first, of course it has to be false, right? So that's what we did. So we use useState because this is also for managing state, but this is for managing local state. So when our app starts, definitely we are on app.js file. So over here we create the state and have the value, and once we have the value, we save the values here. Okay, now once you save the values within from here, they are saved globally. Okay, and of course you can change them later. Okay, so that's the idea, and this is why you need to use a setstate and useContext together to have global values. Okay, now once again here these values are coming from useState. The reason is you have to have some initial values. So once you have this initial values, you are good to go. Now whether we have initial values or not, actually we're gonna go ahead and check very soon in our next section. All right, so since we are done here, so we can close this too. We don't need them now, and we'll never need this ever again. But we're gonna use the login context and fav context. We also don't need this one. So now we are back here. And at the same time, we need to open up our file where it says utils product helpers.js. Over here, we want to create a new function. And here, just like the earlier functions, here we'd say export const and handlePress. Okay, so here we would say, no, it would be an async function. Async because it would do some network request. And then here we'll say user login. So we'll pass this parameter, and we will have navigation. Then we will also pass item, and then set refetch. Okay, like this. Okay, so this is what we want to call, and the very first thing we'll check once we click on the button. And what button I'm talking about? Say this one. Once we click on the button, we want to check whether the user has logged in or not already. Okay, so here we can check if user login equal false. We're gonna ask the user to go to a navigation page. Well, we don't have the page now, so don't worry, but we would be able to do that. Okay, all right, and else we'll do the network request, and then here we'll have other information. So here we'll have go to a different page. All right, and then here you'd say the first thing you would have user ID because user is already logged in, and then here you will have endpoint because you want to talk to the server, so you need a point or URL, and then here you will have your data that you want to pass to the server like that. Okay, then you will get response from the server, so here we'll have response. So it looks like it's gonna do a lot of things, and then here check response. So these are the few things that we going to do. Now the very first thing we want to check over here is this one. So here we can say console log, Okay, console log handlePress, just this one. Let's go ahead and save it. But now before after saving it, we need to come over here in our Fiv. Where is this one, this guy? So here we can just simply call handlePress. Okay, so here let's say handlePress, this one, but it takes those arguments. All right, so the first one is user login. Okay, so user login. Now let's see at the top whether we have user login or not. So here, of course, we also don't have user login. Then how do we get this user login? Now, to get this user login here, right after them, we can get const user login and set user login. But we don't want to use useState. You want to use useContext, this one, and I think we have to get it from React, and within it here login context. So that should be there, but we are not sure that it's been imported. So let's try again. Login. Do we have login? Looks like it's not get auto imported, so that would be a problem. Now you can just go ahead and import it. So here we are, import. Here there's a login context from. So you can step back one directory, and we can go inside context, and then here we'll have user login context, this guy. All right, so with this, the first problem of having a user login context, that should be solved. Okay, you're right, but let me put them all together later, because we also need to import the other one. So here we'll say const. Now here we also need to get it for fetch fav, those state. So let's look at this. So here user login, so I'm gonna just copy this, refetch fav, set refetch fav, use context, and here fav context, this guy. It looks like this one got auto imported. Okay, so we do need to put it inside this curly bracket. Okay, right. So now to make sure that you can access that like this, so that means the path is correct. Okay, and we also need one navigation object, because those are the things we're gonna pass down. So now here we are ready. So our items, the one that we sent to handlePress, the first one was user login, and the second one was I think navigation. The third one was I think item. Fourth one was here set refetch fav. So these are the things. Okay, all right, now here few things before I continue, because remember, right now we want to use global context for user login and the refetch fav or related stuff. Okay, because in our app.js, if you go and see app.js over here, so we set the value, okay, for login and the refetch fav, whatever the value, we did it through useState, the default values. Okay, and then they are already saved in the global context, and I retrieve them from global login context and fab context, and we set them here. Okay, now the same thing we pass down to our next function, the function that we call handlePress. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Hopefully it won't crash. Non-iterable. So product detail 16, I think it is causing an issue over here. Not this one, I think this guy. Yes, it says line 16. Oh, right. Here it shouldn't be this one. For global context, you use the second curly braces, so that was the problem. Okay, now we should be good. Okay, right. Looks like it's loading. Okay, right. So here we are. Okay, now let's click on this. So handlePress. Now we are going to go ahead and close that. Now if you come over here, you see that. Okay, right. So user hasn't logged in. Okay, awesome. So that means that here we should actually go to a new page. Okay, all right. But for now, we are not going to mimic that. We're going to mimic this one first, and then we'll come back to that later. Okay, so last time we have seen that here it is false. For example, if we go ahead and click on this, it'll say that handlePress, which means that of course it is false, right? Okay, now by default we don't want to set it to false for now, at least for now. So here I'm gonna look for app.js file, and then here we remember the earlier state was a true, so you're gonna set it to true. Okay, not this one, true. And then here we have restarted our application, and then if you go and check that, you'll not see that it's been printed over here. Okay, all right, so this part is excellent right now because we can work on this. Okay, the very first thing we'll set up is called user ID. Okay, right. So now for user ID, actually we can mock use, for example, const user ID. For now we're gonna say, for example, put 1 as user ID. Okay, we don't have user ID. It should come from database, and then we'll have our data. So inside this we'll have user ID. Okay, and user ID should be user ID, the one that we had declared. So we're gonna prepare the data and check on them, and at the same time, of course, we're gonna send this data to the backend. Here we're gonna say product ID, and here now we have this item, and item dot product ID. We're gonna check the item later, so it should be ID somewhere like that. Okay, and then here we'll have image URL and item dot image URL, and say, for example, price item dot price, and then over here we'll have title item dot title. So these are the things we need for now. Now before we go ahead and save this, we need to make sure there's all this. So here you see product ID, item price, image URL. So we are using all of them. Now we need to go ahead and see this product itself has whether all of these things. So yes, here we see that image, here we have item title and price, and for image itself we don't have image URL. I think for now we are calling it image path or path. So that's what we want to use, path. Okay, like as you see this one, path. Now the only last thing remaining is checking on the product ID. Now here there's a product detail which is also coming from our screen over here. I believe that's coming from this guy over here, and here we have, okay, ID. So everything is here, all these four information: ID, title, and path. Okay, so for now we're gonna stick it as ID. Okay, all right, so these are the information that we need right now. Okay, because once you have this information, actually we can send it to the backend. Okay, all right, now here one thing we could do, we could put a log. So here we'll say console.log, and then here we'll have our data. You can say sending mock data, or here we'll have data. Okay, now if you go ahead and click on this, hopefully we'll see that sending mock data. So this data, they're ready. Now we don't have any endpoint for now, so we're just going to go ahead and keep it as it is. Okay, so these are our data, and now here we're gonna check the response. Okay, all right. Okay, but one thing though, yes, we don't have data, we don't have our endpoint, but here actually we could mock one. So here we can say const response, and here we can say that await mock API call, and all we need to do, we need to pass the data. Okay, but we need to write this function, but we're gonna skip it for now by commenting this out, otherwise we can get error. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do right now, go ahead and write this mock function. Okay, now let's see what we have here. Okay, so right after this, here we're gonna write a mock function. Here we're gonna say const mock API call, and then we have this data. So here previously we have learned promise and result. This is the exact thing that we are going to use here. So new promise, okay, promise, and within it here we're gonna pass resolve. And then here we are actually going to go ahead and put set timeout function. So here we can say set timeout, and within set timeout we can also call this callback function. So it's a callback inside a callback, and then here the result that we are passing from promise, this one, and inside this we're gonna say status for now 201, which means that success, and then over here data. Okay, so this data would be, say, product ID and data.id. So this is the thing that we are passing. And over here resolve, you want to put comma, and right after this over here you want to give it a time, like 1 second time, so that it should wait, and then you return like this. Okay, so we have this mock API call. So all we did, we are passing the data, and we want to simulate network call. So here we have promise. Now you have to pass the result, this object. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna trigger this set timeout, but because we have this promise, so here once we activate, our application would be actually wait for this response. Okay, it won't continue over there. Okay, it'll wait. All right, it may do other background thing, but before it comes over here, it's definitely gonna wait. That's the power of promise and resolve. And then here we're going to return this data actually. Okay, so here we are actually returning the product ID. Okay, if it is successful, okay, if it is successful, we are returning the product ID. And once we do that over here, we're gonna update our like the earlier. Let me close this. Most probably not here. It should be here. So we're gonna update our red set refetch fab. So this variable we are gonna update, and so that it becomes like, okay, there is a value. Okay, that means it is a favorite. That means user has saved it. So this is the thing we want to do. All right, so hopefully it makes sense. So the idea is you have promise and resolve, you can wait. All right, now we're gonna save it. All right, as we save it, now here we're gonna actually go ahead and work on this response. So we're gonna check if response dot status, because we are remembering we are returning this resolve, okay, and because you also return resolve, so that's why actually here you are doing await. And resolve, inside this resolve object we have status, so we are getting the status over here. So here we are checking if resolve equal 201. Of course you could also do if 200, both of them, they should work. We'll talk on them later. And then here set refetch and response dot data dot product ID. Let's see, response dot data dot product ID, this guy. So we have response data. Let's make sure that we are getting the correct one. So we have a mistake over here. Actually, we can remove this. Here it should be data.product ID, this one, because this product ID and over here as well, product ID. Now this is correct. Okay, so it may be a little bit confusing because our item has ID, so whatever ID it is, we save in this product ID. And remember, the whole data has been sent to mock UI call, which means that data.product ID should refer to this one. Now over here, once we are done, actually we are doing data.product ID data, so which means that this guy, but internally it's this. Okay, all right. Now over here, once we are returning, we are first doing response, the check and response, and dot, that which refers to this guy. Okay, and within it we are referring this one. So I hope it makes sense, right? Okay, anyway, so that's been done. And actually here we could also do console log set fav item, which means that we have successfully set the favorite item. Okay, right. Now let's cover here. So one of this thing that we could do, we can actually cut all of this and put inside try catch clause. So here try catch. So inside catch we'll have E, all right, for getting the exception, and here we could put this one. So we already have the response. Now let me go ahead and reformat the code, not like that. Okay, now reformatting is done. And over here for now we'll say console.log error E. All right, okay, cool. So all right, so this is done. Now this time let's go ahead and click on this. Okay, sending mock data. As you see that set fav item, so which means that the whole process went successfully, which means that we are able to set user ID, and we are able to collect data and put in this data object, and then we are able to simulate the network request. Not only that, here we are able to go ahead and set actually our fav item that it is already there. Okay, so yeah, that's how it works. Okay, so after doing this, we can go ahead and verify that our fav item is saved over the context. What do I mean by that? Now, so let's go ahead and put some log. So this is our product detail page, right? So over here, we can set ID. Okay, not ID actually, a log about our ID. So here, product ID is, we could do item.id. Well, actually this should go down, not really here, so I'm gonna put it here. Okay, all right. Okay, and not only that, we can actually also do like this, console.log and fav ID. So for fav ID over here, we can get this one, refetch this one. Okay, and then over here we can go ahead and save it. Of course, nothing we will not see anything, but anyway, so let's go ahead and save this. Sorry, not save this, click on this. So here we see the product ID is 1A and fav ID. Now if we started it, just restarted the whole app, of course nothing is there. Okay, all right, but now I'm going to go ahead and set it. Okay, all right, so here as you see that product ID is 1A and fav ID is also 1A. That's after setting. Okay, right, now we can go ahead and click on this. So over here we see that product ID is 1B, but our fav ID is 1A, which we set before. So now over here I'm gonna click on this. So now as you see that once you click this ID, they are same, which means that the new ID is being set for this value. But of course, very first time when you come to this page, this is empty. Now if we go ahead and click on this app, you'll see that now fav ID we don't have. Why we don't have fav ID? The reason is if you go ahead and see app.js, over here you see it's empty. I mean empty string. So actually it is empty string over here, but we don't see that. Okay, so anyway, so now if we go ahead and set it, definitely 1 second later it sets to 1A and it works just like that. Okay, so you can go to the third one over here. So product ID is this, fav ID is that, and then over here we'll see that 1C. And not only that, if you go to like different screens, you will see that this fav ID is still saved. So the last time we saved, that was 1C. Now you click on anywhere, you'll see that fav ID is still 1C. Okay, so that means that we used UseContext to set our app state globally. Okay, so now this is saved unless you go ahead and change it. Okay, now wherever you go, 1C is still there. You can open anything, it doesn't really matter. You can also go to here as well. Okay, and you can also open it from there, but fav ID is always there unless you go ahead and change it. Now of course you can change it from here. So here we'll see that fav ID is now 1A. Now okay, we understand that it is saved here like this. So wherever we go, it is saved. So that's good. But why we are saving it? The reason is because you'll see that whenever user press on this, we'll see if this fav ID or sorry product ID is whether it's saved locally or not. We'll take that one, And if it is already saved locally, that means user has already also saved in database. Remember, this mock API call eventually will set it in the database. So that means that if we can find the ID locally, that means it was saved before in the database as well. So next time when a user clicks on this, it will remove from FlatList. Okay, so that's the point. But if the user is clicking on this for the first time, that means that we will just go ahead and call this API call and save it. And next time on the same product, if the user actually saves, if the user clicks again, we'll remove that. So the idea is the first time we'll save, and second time when user clicks it, then we'll remove it. Okay, so that's how it should work, and that's why actually we are saving in our set refetch, which is this one at the top. Okay, all right, so hopefully now you understand that why we did useContext, and then how we can save our state globally in our app. Okay, so let's continue. Now, last time we did saving the ID as we click on this. Now, the next thing we want to do is adding to cart. Say, for example, this one. So this is our cart, and we want to add it there. And if we click on this, but of course, nothing happens yet. So how to go ahead with this? Now, just like this one, for example, over here, we have saved our favorite, whether this was part of our fav or favorite, we do the same. Now for this one, we actually need to go ahead and create a new context. Like if you'll see over here, we have this context, right? So over here, we are going to create a new one, a new file. And here we're gonna say user cart context.js, and after that actually we can copy one of the items from here. Now you know how it should work, and we're gonna put it here, and here we're gonna say for example cart context, and that's all. Okay, so this is cart context. Now since we did that one, we also need to refer it in our app.js. So let's go ahead and do that. But we know that this one should also have an initial value from when the app starts up. So we're going to give it some value. Over here, we're going to say user cart and set user cart. And then here, useState. Now, because this is cart related, eventually we're gonna save the just a number of items we'll have. Okay, so that's why we're gonna set it to 0, and then so that user cart will also have initial value as a 0, and after that we can copy one of this and put it down. We're gonna take that one as well, and let's see what do we have after login context. So it should be here. Now we have two of them. Of course, it's gonna cause a problem. So here, instead of fab const, we can call it cart context. Okay, so make sure that at the top the path has been imported, otherwise it will get error. Okay, right. And then cart itself, here we can say user cart and set user cart. Okay, now we're gonna copy this, and then here we're gonna put it, and we are good to go. So now with this, our context is ready for cart. Okay, so this is the basic setup. So the idea is every time you create a global context which you want to save your states, then you should always register in app.js, and you should also give it initial value. Okay, that's how it works. Now we're gonna close this. We don't need that. We also don't need this. Now product detail over here. Let's come over here, and we're gonna see our buy button. Actually, we don't want to work on the buy button itself. We want to work on the cart button. So let's see. Okay, so this one, right? And then here. So here we can say handle cart like this. Now we don't have a function over here. Now we're going to copy it, and we're gonna put it here right below there. Okay, and then we're gonna say handle cart, and for now I'm going to remove all of this, okay, so that we are clear and clean on this. So handle cart. So let's go ahead and save it, and then save it here as well. We won't have any issues or error. Okay, right, like that. Now there are a few things we should pass down from here. So the first one we want to pass is navigation object, this one. And then over here we also want to pass item, and then count, which means the number of items that's been added. We also want to send user login, whether the user has logged in or not. And then eventually we'll make API call to the database, and then we could say set user cart, this one. Okay, so all these things actually we also need to go ahead and grab over here. So I'm going to remove all this because this is not what we want. We're gonna put it here. These are the new items. So save it, and then we're gonna save it here as well. Okay, right. And then let's come over here and check this. So as usual, you want to check whether the user is logged in or not. So here we can say if user login is false, we'll do one thing. Okay, if user login is well, I think I wrote it wrong, false, and then we'll do the other thing. Okay, so navigate to login page, we don't have this. Once we are done with this page, we're gonna actually work on this login. Okay, well, otherwise here first we're gonna go ahead and check user has logged in. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. Now if you do that, now let's click on this. Looks like handle cart doesn't exist. We might have an issue. Okay, so handle cart, actually we do exist. The reason it doesn't exist is because this one over here, actually we need to import it. So here we should have handle cart, just like handlePress. Now sometimes it's easy to forget. So now let's go ahead and click on this here. Set user cart doesn't exist. So yes, that is true, because now here we are. We also need to set up the context. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we can say user cart and set user cart. And here we also need to import cart context. Okay, right, but it looks like this doesn't get automatically recognized, so I'm going to copy this over here and put it here, and we're gonna call it cart context, and then from here we're gonna call it user cart context. All right, and that should be good. Let's see if we can refer this guy. Yes, we can. So the path is working, so hopefully this time everything should be good. Let's see. So user has logged in. Now what do you mean by that? So over here this part is being called. Okay, user has logged in. Okay, cool. So we'll continue on this on our next section.